The Last Lightkeeper at the Foggy Wharf, a bedtime story for those drifting gently toward sleep. ... Like a whisper, are you lying down yet? The room is slowly growing still. Close your eyes and imagine that you are standing by the edge of an old harbor, a place where fog drifts like sheer curtains drawn across the world. The harbor with no ships, far at the edge of the world, beyond the colors of most maps. There lies a little harbor quiet, weathered and long forgotten by ships. The harbor is called Touch and Gone, which means the final quiet shore. Long ago, great sailing ships would dock here, carrying cinnamon from the east, mint tea from the mountains, and even tropical rain sealed in clay jars. Now, only fog and waves remain, and one old lightkeeper who never left. The man who waits for no one, they call him Old Light. No one remembers his real name. But every evening, as the sky turns to a soft gray blue, he lifts an old storm lantern and climbs the tower to light the beacon. The lighthouse isn't tall, just 50 wooden steps that creak beneath his careful feet. There are no more ships. Still, he lights the lantern because he believes that out on the distant sea, someone may still be drifting in their sleep, and the light might gently lead them home. The habits of a man unbothered by time each morning. He sits on the porch, sipping plain tea, watching the mist dissolve. At noon, he polishes the lamp glass, trims the wick, checks the oil. In the afternoon, he mends fishing nets. Though there are no fish left to catch. He once said, "What you do isn't as important as doing it gently." Sleep is the same. It loves rhythm, softness, repetition. Letters sent by wind on windy nights. The old man writes letters. Letters with no address, no names, no postage. Just quiet thoughts, like, "Tonight is calm. The sea is breathing softly. The lamp oil smells like my mother's hair." If someone out there hears this, I wish you a peaceful sleep. ... Then he folds them into paper boats and sends them floating across the dark water. The light that lives in dreamers' eyes. They say if you dream of a soft glow, cutting gently through drifting fog, it might be his lantern. He doesn't light it to warn ships of rocks. He lights it so dreamers, those drifting too far, can find their way back to the shore of rest. A night that hasn't changed in years. Night at the quiet harbor is never pitch black, nor fully lit. It's like a velvet dusk, wrapping the world in hush. The wind murmurs through wooden walls. Waves sigh beneath the dock, and the lantern flickers like the eyes of someone dozing off. Can you hear it? If you listen closely, just closely enough, you might hear the softest footsteps, a creaking latch, and the heartbeat of a lightkeeper asleep at his desk. Sleeping because his work is done, and the light is still shining. For you, a gentle good night, and so you've arrived at the shore. No rowing needed, no winds to push you, just breath, slow and light, as sleep guides you inward. The lantern still glows in the mist, meant only for those, like you, who are quietly drifting toward rest. Sleep well. 2. The Hidden Post Office in the Oak Forest. A gentle bedtime story for quiet hearts and sleepy minds, soft as a suggestion. Are you ready to let go of the lights, the screens, and even the noise inside your head? Now, imagine you are walking through an old oak forest. The leaves whisper like voices from another world. The wind isn't cold, just enough to stir a strand of your hair. 1. A door no one sees by day in the daylight. There's nothing unusual here, just trees, moss, fallen leaves, and sunlight trickling through the canopy. But when night falls, and the mist rises gently from the roots, a wooden door appears, aged, moss-covered, and quiet. On a tiny sign written in faded brown ink, "Night Post, open from 10 p.m. until the moon is gone." The postmen are not human. No one stands behind the counter, just the softest sequence of sounds. The whisper of feathers, the thump of talons landing on old wood, and round, golden eyes glowing in the shadows. The owls are the postmasters here. They carry letters never sent, forgotten wishes, unsaid things, thoughts people had once, then let go. Letters without receivers, no addresses, no names. Just faint scribbles on old paper, sometimes just a few words. I still remember the sunlight in my mother's hair. I wish I hadn't walked away that day. I hope someone, just once, understands me even for one night. These letters are stacked gently in thin wooden trays tied with flax string. They feel light, a daze, as if empty. But when you open one, you can hear the echo of an old dream. A place where nothing rushes in this post office. Clocks don't tick. Only the soft swing of a paper lantern swaying in the wind. Its glow is warm like amber, caught in sleep. You may sit as long as you like. No one hurries you. Some visitors fall asleep on the soft leather chairs, and the owls gently cover them with a blanket made of old letters. Sending what you didn't know you wanted to send. You don't need to bring a letter. Just enter and sit. After a while, you'll find an envelope in front of you containing something you didn't even realize you needed to say. You don't have to write, just think. The post office listens, and the owl will carry it to a place that needs no name. The exit always leads to dreams. When you step back outside, the door disappears behind you, like it was never there. You're standing in the forest again. The wind is just as gentle as when you came, but inside, it feels like something soft has just been sent from your heart, and you don't need a reply. You only need to know it has been sent, and that is enough. A lullaby never written. And if tonight you dream of a wooden door in the middle of the forest, or hear the faintest flutter of wings at your window, perhaps an owl is carrying your dream to somewhere far and kind. You don't need to know where, only that it is. Quiet, gentle, and good. Sleep well. Your letter has already been sent. The town where clocks never tick like a background lullaby, can you still hear it? The ticking sound? No. Good, because where we're about to go, that sound doesn't exist. No alarms, no hourly chimes, no reminders that it's time. Just time itself, quietly passing, and no one even noticing. The town with no second hands, it's not a big town. You could walk from one end to the other in about, well, actually no, one really counts. They say the place is called Whisper Hollow because everything there happens as softly as a nod in a dream. Every clock on every wall, in every coat pocket, on every old tower, still turns, still moves. But not one makes a sound, not because they're broken, but because here, people don't need time to hurry them along. Nobody is ever late. In the morning, the bakery opens when the light turns golden. Not at 7, not at 8, just when the smell of rising bread says now. The tailor lifts her curtain only when the sun reaches the doorstep. The postman delivers letters when the breeze is soft enough for the sparrows to sing. No one waits, and no one is rushed. Everything happens at the exact moment it feels right. Not early, not late. Like a leaf that falls only when the wind is ready. The clock tower that never chimes in the center of town stands an old, graceful clock tower, its face as wide as a window. The hands move, but the bells have never rung. The elders say, the chime only sounds when someone forgets how to wait. But since the town began, the bells have never spoken. Where time isn't measured at the corner of a cobbled street, there's a tiny tea house. Here, tea isn't steeped by the minute. The owner watches the leaves, smells the warmth, and pours it only when it feels just right. Inside, no one asks the time. They ask things like, has the sun passed the roof yet? Is the wooden chair still cool? Are you starting to feel sleepy? Visitors whisper. Dreamers stay. Those who stumble into Whisper Hollow by accident are puzzled at first. Confused by the lack of schedules, alarms, deadlines. But after a few days, they put away their phones, remove their watches, and nap in the afternoon without guilt. Some, after a very long sleep, decide to stay. After all, nothing important happens too quickly here. You're already here. Maybe as you listen to this story, you haven't noticed, but you've already stepped into Whisper Hollow. The room around you is just as quiet. There's no ticking, no counting. Only your breath, soft and even. Like a breeze through an open curtain, as gentle as sleep arriving. And if you're still awake, that's perfectly fine, 'cause in the place you're drifting toward, no one expects you to fall asleep quickly. No one tells you to hurry up and rest. You can just breathe. Feel the hush around you. Let your thoughts stroll by, like slow-moving people on quiet streets. And when sleep comes, it won't knock. It will just quietly open a back door and whisper. Not early, not late. Just the right time to rest. Sleep well. In the place where clocks never tick. The shop of forgotten dreams, like a gentle knock at the door of your mind. How long has it been since you last remembered a dream? Not the bright ones, but the hazy kind, as light as chalk dust drifting across your eyelashes at dawn. If you've ever missed a dream you can no longer recall, then perhaps this little shop is holding it for you. At the edge of the old market, behind a faded curtain. In the corner of the old marketplace, where people sell broken watches and buttons that no longer match, there's a small booth hidden behind a sun-faded curtain. No flashy sign, just a quiet line of gray thread embroidered on cloth. Old dreams, cleaned and carefully folded. They say the shop only opens if you arrive at just the right time, when the sun hasn't climbed too high, and the wind carries a trace of dried cinnamon. Inside, not quite real, not quite imagined, the wooden door creaks as you enter. Inside, the air smells like incense, woven gently into old linen. Glass jars line the shelves, each holding a swirl of faint colors like mist, caught and gently spun in circles. One jar reads, "First time riding a cloud, no thunder included." Another says, "Dream of becoming a boat, drifting through a slow forest of fragrant wood." And there's even a small wooden box lined with velvet that still carries the scent of your very first autumn afternoon, even if you've long forgotten it. The shopkeeper doesn't ask, nor stare too long. The owner is old, or perhaps a shadow. No one's really sure. She doesn't ask what you're looking for. She simply extends her hand. And at once, a small box appears from behind the counter. There's a faded note attached. The dream you dropped when you were 11 on a rainy day. The smell of earth, the sound of water on plastic ponchos, all still inside. You don't need to open the box, just hold it in your palm for a while. And you'll hear the quiet laughter of someone you once were, echoing faintly inside that dream. No price, just one condition if you ask. How much do I owe? The shopkeeper smiles, or maybe not. She simply replies, "Just sleep well tonight. And don't try too hard to remember the dream. Let it return to where it came from." You nod, and when you turn to leave, the shop is gone. Just sunlight, just dust, just the smell of cinnamon. Sleep that smells like soft memories that night. You lie down. Your hand still carries the warmth of the tiny wooden box. You don't dream anything vivid. Just the feeling of returning somewhere, sitting on an old rooftop, listening to wind in your sweat-dampened hair. And when morning comes, you remember nothing. But your heart is gentler, and your eyelids carry the golden scent of being 11, like a wisp of mist fading into dream maybe. Every dream you've ever dropped was never truly lost. They were simply gathered, placed gently on a shelf, waiting for you to arrive. And remember that even if forgotten, you were once the one who dreamed it. Sleep well now, you who once became a boat. 5. The Library of Unwritten Books, A Whisper Among Hills. Close your eyes. Now, imagine a hill where the wind never rushes. It only sighs. At the top of this hill, there stands a library. No path leads to it on any map. You do not find it. It finds you when your mind becomes still. This is the library of unwritten books, a place without endings. The doors creak softly as they open. Not from rust, but from remembering. Inside, everything is quiet. Not silent, no. You can still hear a gentle rustling, like pages turning by themselves. These are the books no one ever finished writing. They wait patient and kind in shelves that stretch into the mist. Some only have a title. Some begin mid-sentence. Some hold only a single paragraph. And that's enough. The words come at night. By day, the books rest. They do not ask for readers. They do not long to be known. But when night falls, something extraordinary happens. The air inside the library grows warmer. A soft blue glow hums from within the shelves, and the words begin to return to the pages. Lines rearrange themselves. Commas stretch and curl into dialogue. Chapters drift into form like lazy clouds. The books are writing themselves, not to be published, not to be perfect, but simply because they still have something to say. Stories that don't rush. There is a story about a boy who talks to river stones. Another about a cloud that falls in love with a lantern. And one barely begun, about someone who once dreamed of being someone else. Then changed their mind halfway through. In this library, no story must end. And no story needs to make sense, because dreams don't care about structure. They only care about feeling. A place where you can rest between sentences. There are reading chairs with velvet so worn they feel like old skin. Windows that open onto stars, even on cloudy nights. And a small wooden sign by the fireplace that reads, "Take a book. Leave nothing but a sigh." Some visitors come only to sit. They open a book at random, read half a sentence, then fall asleep. As if the story slipped quietly beneath their dreams. 5. The book with your name on it. At some point, you might find a book with no title. Its cover is the same color as your favorite blanket. Its spine feels familiar in your hand. Inside, there are a few words, maybe something you once imagined as a child, and then forgot. Or a line that feels like it came from your own heart long before you knew how to write. You do not need to finish this book. It is not waiting for that. It is just here to remind you. You are already a story. And it's okay not to know how it ends. Let the pages stay open, and so now, if you feel your breath slowing, if your thoughts are floating like soft bookmarks, maybe it's because you found your chair in the library of unwritten books. Leave the story unfinished tonight. Close your eyes and let the sentences continue without you. They'll be here when you return. Sleep gently now. There's a story waiting, but not in a hurry.